Hello everyone. Pratisha, Sirika, am I audible now? Am I better? Are you able to hear me better now? Please confirm so that we can get started. The first few minutes, the few teething troubles. Just confirm and then we can get started, guys. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm just waiting for my presentation to get loaded, but let's not waste any more time. Just give me a second. We're getting started. Today will be a very interesting session. I think all of you have IIM interviews to attend, and hope this 2 hours of session, in fact 2.5 hours, will help you kind of gain contents, learn things that you can apply in your interviews. Many of you at this point of time are very passionate about getting into IIMs, and hearty congratulations. Firstly, a huge round of applause and hearty congratulations to all of you for getting interview calls from the prestigious business schools in India. And it makes, can you type the IIMs or the business schools you got calls from? Some of you, can you please type the names of the business schools you have calls from, interview calls from? Okay. Pratisha says IMC, IMK, Satvik says IBS. Yeah, I have few details. Okay, few people. Congratulations, Pratisha. Congratulations, Satvik. I think I'm going to kind of focus on whatever I'm going to talk today. While I'm trying to kind of give examples, give some anecdotes from IIM interviews, that does not mean these are only applicable for IIM interviews. They're applicable for all the business school interviews. So try to kind of connect them to what experiences you are currently having. I'm sure many of you have already started preparing for your interviews, attending some classes somewhere, doing some mock interviews, etc. My goal today in this webinar is not to kind of teach you something, but actually kind of recount a lot of anecdotes, experiences, and break a lot of myths that are there around the B school interviews, IIM interviews. In doing the session, I think while breaking these myths, I want to give you do's and don'ts, right? I actually have 10 different things, 10 different myths I want to talk about. And these 10 myths, I think we will talk about what are the do's and don'ts in each of these 10 areas. And that should give you a lot of useful insights and ideas into how to behave, how to kind of handle the interview, how not to do things. That should be very useful. And throughout the session today, what I suggest all of you to do is keep your questions ready, because I want it to be more of a two-way. While I present the content I made in the first hour or so, the goal in the second half would be to kind of take questions, like your concerns, anything you have on your mind that you would want to ask. So keep your questions ready with respect to IIM interviews, and I'll be happy to answer each and every one of them towards the second half. So with that, let me kind of get started. I'm just waiting for the... Are you all able to see my presentation? Are you able to see this webinar ground rules? Are you able to see this, guys? Are you able to see this webinar ground rules? Can you please... Okay, so the ground rules for today are this, first thing, please mention your name clearly when you're commenting your questions, etc. And mute your mic. It's better to do that. And lastly, you can use the chat to ask questions toward the end, as well as kind of respond to whatever I'm just asking you in general. That's very important. So before we go ahead, I hope you're able to see my presentation now. So what we will be doing is, we actually would want to talk to you about, like I said, today's session is all about me presenting 10 different myths and do's and don'ts based on those myths, with some stories, anecdotes of what I have amassed over my 14 years of teaching experience and 18 years of experience in general. This is my brief background. For those who do not know me, my name is Naresh Dubbudu. I'm a gold medalist and distinguished alumnus awardee from NIT Warangal. I'm a topper at IIM Bangalore and also been to Stanford Business School. I'm an ex-McKinsey consultant, worked with many different industries. and education is the industry that I'm working for the last 14 years. And the founder and CEO of Abhyaas Edu Technologies, the mother organization of Abhyaas IIM Prep, that's conducting this webinar. And today's session, I'm coming to you, I'm talking to you not as the founder of this company, but more as someone who has myself been on the IIM Bangalore admission interview panel for multiple years. I've recused myself from IIM Bangalore admission interview panel for last many years because as alumni, IIM Bangalore generally has this interesting process where two out of the three people in the interview panel are faculty. One of them is alumni. I have participated as IIM Bangalore alumni in multiple interview panels across a couple of years. I think after that I've recused myself because there's a conflict of interest, someone who's been training into CAT. So I stopped going there. This was before I got into CAT training and stuff. So I think I'll bring that experience also as someone who has been an actual interview panel. What we have seen there, what kind of things we were looking, how the other interviews were looking at it, how the faculty were looking at the interviewees. I think I'll bring all those examples to you, all those different things into you. And you keep, like I said, use this session, keep asking questions. I think that's very important. Keep typing whatever you want to ask, and I'll definitely take up the questions, particularly toward the end, but also understand that the idea is to kind of help you crack this IIM interviews, right? That's the broad goal. So with this introduction, let me actually go ahead and present to you. So I hope you're able to see this screen in front of this is one of my favorite, this is currently I'm reading a book on 80-20 principle. 80-20 principle is a very, very popular principle across the business world. People talk about doing great things with less effort, right? 80-20 principle in general, people know it as this is very well known as Pareto principle or 80-20 principle of output and input. It says that 80% of results in your life are actually dependent on only 20% of efforts, whereas the remaining 80% of efforts only lead to 20% of the result. That's what 80-20 principle means. For example, in health, 80% of your results come from eating properly, only 20% comes from exercising or gymming. Talking, 80% great public speaking, 80% is actually listening, whereas only 20% is speaking. Many people assume good talker, someone who is a good speaker is all about speaking. No, 80% is able to listen properly. Similarly, achieving. A lot of people have this feeling that if you are achieving something, you're a successful person. Please understand 80% of it is hard work doing, only 20% of it is actually the dreams coming true. Relationships. Similarly, in relationships and friendships and things, 80% of the time you're giving, 20% of the time you're receiving. Once you understand this 80-20 principle, it becomes very easy for you to be successful and satisfied in life. Wealth also. Many people think trading, investing, making money is all about knowledge, maths, etc. But do understand there's a huge component of trading and investing, because you're all going to be wannabe managers, you're going to get into IIMs and stuff. You better need to understand a concept called money management. Wealth making, investing, trading is also about 80% of it is about habits called money management, and only 20% of it is actual knowledge of the stock markets, mathematics, ups, downs, high, low, and all that stuff, right? Learning, similarly, in learning, 80% of the time is about trying to make sense of what you're comprehending the things, analyzing the things. Only 20% of it is exploring new things. A lot of times we all have, many students I've seen, they have this interest, they have the interest to kind of go ahead, experience a lot of new things, but somehow they don't really spend time in comprehending what they've already learned. We all have the interest to kind of go ahead and explore new things, but we are not very, very comfortable about analyzing, re-looking, revising what we are actually already read. That's very important. Similarly, happiness. Happiness is, we all try to gain happiness through fun. That's very nice. We all need to have fun. That's very important, but do understand 80% of your happiness comes from having a purpose goal, 20% comes from fun activities. And finally, improvement. I call it Kaizen in Japanese. I have, this is, as someone who comes from manufacturing background, Kaizen is a very powerful principle, Kaizen. For those of you interested, you can note and research it more. Kaizen talks about that you can improvement in anything that you do comes 20% from new ideas, 20% from innovative thoughts, creative thoughts, but actually 80% comes from whatever you are ideating, whatever you're creating, being on that all the time. That's very, very important. right? So let me go now. Let's deep dive into the session. Now that so far I hope the introduction I've done. So what I'm going to do now, we want to kind of tell you, uh, I want to bring to you in the next hour or hour and a half. The goal would be to kind of talk to you about 10 myths, 10 different myths that people have with respect to IIM interviews or B school interviews. And then talk about, I will try to share some anecdotes, share some stories about this from my background as both a student who has cracked IIM Bangalore and many other IIMs, and also as an IIM interview panelist, as IIM interview trainer, a lot of these things. I think over the years, I have helped 500 plus students to go into IIMs. And I think I generally kind of have my team kind of says the metric. Prithvi and team, they're there on this session. They have this metric where they say 87.5% of our students have actually made it to IIMs through GEPI preparation with us. When we started, it was GDPI. Now we call it GEPI or VATPI. Please understand that many you would have prepared with a lot of different players when it comes to CAT, but when it comes to GEPI, I think we can help you a lot. So let's hope that this next 1.5 hour will actually give you some good insights on how to handle the IIM interviews. I'm focusing today on the interviews process. Any other process that you have any questions from, I'll definitely take it toward the end. First myth that people have, as you see on the slide, the first myth that students have, the first myth that candidates have is higher the percentile, only then you can make it. In fact, there are people I have seen in my 14 years of experience. I've seen a lot of times people with lower percentile make it as opposed to those who have with higher percentile. One particular year, I have a 100 percentile, CAT 100 percentile student with me. But the problem was that person, that candidate had an issue with respect to speaking up properly, expressing properly, and confidence was not there, body language not proper. He found it extremely difficult. 100 percentile in CAT should have made it easy for him to get into any of his B school, right? A, B, C should be cakewalk. He should be able to get into IMA or B very easily. He found it very difficult. He finally did make it to one of the IIMs, but definitely not the top three, not the ABC. So you have to understand 100 percentile also sometimes is not going to naturally lead you to IIM selection, IIM admission. At the same time, I have seen students with 97, 98, 96 percentiles also make it. Again, I'm talking about each one of you come from categories and different things, but please understand it's very, very important. So what I'm trying to tell you is percentile, while it is important, it is not enough alone, or it is not enough alone to get in, or it is not enough alone to stop you. The moment they have kind of invited you for the interview, please understand you have a great chance. I'm not saying all the people who are invited to the interviews have equal chance. I don't want to kind of speak like that, because that is not rational. Because each IIMs by themselves have different parameters. They have a different amount of weightage given to interviews, VATs, your 10th, 12 scores, your grad scores, your work experience, lot of these things. And there's some of the IIMs also very clearly please give this algorithm, give this thing also outside. So, but what I'm trying to tell you is, while I agree that people with higher percentile have a better opportunities, but do understand this thing that I don't have a great percentile. I've been invited, but I don't think I have a chance. So I will not give it my best. I don't think I stand a chance. I'll not work on it. It's not going to work. I've seen sometimes students with lower percentiles, with better persona, with better body language, with better communication skills have made it, trump those students who have had 99 percentile also. That's what I want to kind of shatter the first myth that people have. Right? I hope this is understood. If you have understood, can you please type 99 does not matter? Can you type 99 does not matter? I just want to see if you realize this. Do you understand this? 99 does not matter. 99 does not matter. It's not about having 99 plus percentile, but it's about approaching the process properly. Right? 99 does not matter. Yeah, I get a lot of yeses. I'm seeing yeses. Thank you. But I think let's focus on the phrase that I'm asking you to have. Right? Please type that. Okay. Now that we understand, great. So we understood this myth. We understood the reality of this myth. But what exactly should we be doing? Like I gave an anecdote of a student. What I found works, and what I found does not work. So I'll talk about this. What are the do's and don'ts with respect to this particular myth? Right, first, please understand, the great opportunity you have in the next 1 month or so, next couple of months. Each of you are going to you. Most of the interviews start in Feb first week and they go on till March, April also. I think you have at least 3 to 4 weeks before you get into your interviews. Use these 3 to 4 weeks to kind of focus on building a good profile. When I say good profile, you cannot go back home. You cannot go back to your childhood and try to kind of, it is not possible for you to do some get certificates and stuff. No, I'm not saying that. You cannot change things in your life already, but you can definitely build a profile. What is building profile? I'll explain in a minute. Just hang on there. And it is everything, including academics, extracurriculars, and your leadership activities across your life. A lot of people mistake building a strong profile as something like you have to restart the life. You can't go back from the time you're born. How you kind of lead life, you cannot change. Yes, if you understand this, IIM interview process is a beautiful process in the sense that it gives you a beautiful, chance to reboot yourself. How you look at yourself, how you present yourself, how you kind of project yourself. All these things change, and what it will definitely do for you is it helps you ensure that in the future you are able to make better out of everything that you get into. But having said that, we do not have the luxury, we do not have the advantage. We cannot go back in our life and say we'll start building in terms of building profile. Now I'll do some extracurricular activity. No, not going to work. You have 3 to 4 weeks time. It is not possible for you to build some activity today, but the goal is to kind of, within the activities, within the profile you already have, within the life you already live, how do we kind of put it together? How do we kind of bunch it together into a way it will look strong? Please understand. I'll give you a small, example from the movie world. A lot of times what happens is, in the movie world, as you know, what happens is people kind of feel that a great story. No, but the different movies have different stories, but it's not like one story is better than the other, isn't it? A movie is successful. It has to have a good story, but it's not like stories can be rated. You cannot rate one story as 3 star, one star story as a 4 star or 5 star. Movies are not rated on the story. Story should be strong, but it is rated more on how the story is scripted, how the story is enacted, how the story is directed, how the story is actually turned into movie cinema, right? They kind of rate a movie, they don't rate a story. Please remember this very, very important message I'm giving you today. So your profile is a movie, your life is a story. So each one of you have a different life, each one of you have a different life story. We cannot change our life story. We have a story, but can we convert the story we have into a better movie? Can we convert the life we've already lived into a better profile? Profile is movie, life is story. I hope if you understand this simple thing, this is a very, very important thing, guys. If you have understood this, please, please, please type, right? Life is story. Please understand this, right? What we're saying, life is a story, whereas profile is a movie. Can you please type? This is very important, guys. I want to understand this. Is very important. Lot of times, always they're saying, hey, I did not have a great life. Hey, you're all dealt different cards. We are born in different kind of places. We are born in different kind of families. We had a different kind of background. Not all of us have equal this thing. But what happens is how you kind of use that, how you use those cards, that matters a lot. I'll give you a small example, my anecdote, so that you understand what I'm trying to say. When I joined McKinsey, when we joined, I think after we joined we call NHO, New Hire Orientation, and all those activities. Some of our seniors there, when they spoke to me, they kind of said, hey, you are a stam guy. You are a stammer. So the moment we say stammer, we felt, hey, am I stammering? Am I STAM? No, STAM. I said, you are a stam guy, you're stammering. I felt, am I not speaking fluently? I got selected to McKinsey, not easy. Going to IIM Bangalore is difficult. After going to IIM Bangalore, ask people how difficult it is to get into a coveted, world's #1 management consulting firm like McKinsey, right? I made it there. I was thinking, what is this? What are they saying? So what they basically say is, they have a thing called small towners at McKinsey, STAM, small towners at McKinsey. What they kind of say is, when we kind of join the company, we usually call the firm, welcome to the firm, they say. The idea is they are very clearly able to distinguish between someone who comes from metropolitan city versus someone who's come from a smaller town. I did not come from a metropolitan city. My childhood, my education was all in towns. I think only after I got into graduation, I started moving. I've been to NIT, I've been to IIM, I've been to, that is different. But till, so they kind of called me Stam. We had a small group called Stammer. So why I'm saying that, because a lot of times I was dealt a card called I was born into a family that was in small town. I did not have a metropolitan life. Many of you do not. But what happened was I was able to convert my story into my life into a proper profile, proper movie. I made it there. So please understand the fundamental difference between this. So in the next 3 to 4 weeks time, where when you'll start interviews, I want all of you to keep in mind that your goal is not really to change your story. It is about changing your movie. You can edit your movie, you can script your movie, you can enact your movie. That is the first most important thing I want you to understand, guys. Second thing, many, like I said, don't ever give up or don't ever assume. In fact, this is also, this myth is not only to tell you those who have 95, 96, 97 percentile, be happy, you can crack it. No, I'm not saying that. It's also for those students who have that 99 percentile. If you are in the comfort zone that, hey, my percentile gives me, my story is strong, I'll get a selection. No, you might have a great story, my dear friends, but if your execution is not proper, if the movie is not turned out great, if the script is not right, if the an action is not right, if the profile is not right, I think you will get rejected. You will get a bad rating, bad movie rating. Please note this. This is very, very, very important. People rate movie, people do not rate story. Similarly, interviews are not rating your life story, interviews are rating your profile. That's a fun. We as an interview panel, we always have this feeling that someone who, you might have been born into already a very powerful family, but if you have come from an affluent background but you are not able to project well, there's no use. If you have a 99 percentile but somehow you don't come across well, you do not get that admission. You are not rated high. Please understand this, right? I hope you are following what I'm trying to say. Any questions so far? Any questions so far on the first myth? Is the first myth, I've just dealt the myth number 1. Did you learn something? Was it useful? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, voice is cracking, they say. Is it only for Israel or anyone else? Is my voice okay? Can you please confirm? I'm just using my Bluetooth device only for you, but anyone else? Is my voice okay? Can you please confirm? Israel says voice is cracking. Perfectly okay. Siddharth says perfectly okay, right? So Israel, it could be a problem from your side also. Yeah, Pratyusha also says it's cracking in between. Okay, let me see. Okay, bit unstable, but it's okay. Pritham says okay. Right. Okay. I think I'll work on this thing. But questions from you? Anything so far clear? Myth number 1 clear. Myth number 1 understood. You're able to understand this. You're able to understand this. Clear. Srileka says it's clear. Okay. Right. Yes, sir. Understood. Okay. Right. Thank you. I think what we will do is, Siddharth, thank you. We'll move on to the second point that I want to kind of talk in today's webinar. Let me talk about the second one. This is another important myth, another very classical myth. Many students have this feeling, they kind of feel that if you fail to answer a question in an IIM interview, you're out. They have the feeling that if you could not solve a question, if you could not answer one question, if you could not give answer to 2 questions, 3 questions, you're out. The reality, as someone who has been on the panel myself, is what we found, what we have seen there is, it is not really about the answer you give, it's about how you give the answer. I think I generally say, this is something on this part I want you to notice clearly. This is my technique, as I call it. The what, the why, and the how. All of you can make a note. This myth, like I'm trying to tell you, this is, I always kind of talk about it, the what, the why, and the how. If you can understand the what, why, and how of any question, you are done. Many people, when they say, the myth here talks about, if you fail to answer a question, you are out. That means you are focusing on the what and not the why and how. Many times students make the classical mistake of assuming, hey, interviewer is asking something, let me give that answer. No, that's not the idea. That's never the idea. It is always about, ask yourself why the question is being asked. Never answer the what, only answer the why. For example, if they say, tell me about your weakness, or tell me what is your biggest weakness? Tell me what was your biggest embarrassing moment or anything like that, right? Which was most the failure, your biggest failure so far in life. These kind of questions are asked. When they ask that question, many students ask me, should I be honest? Should I tell the truth, etc. But please understand, the question is about failure. What is asked is your failure, but why is it asked? If you understand why is it asked, you can plan the answer properly. Please understand, the why of any question is more important than what of the question. Interviewer asks these questions to kind of, not the issue itself, not the question itself, but the background of this. Say for example, when they ask you what's your failure, a particular example, what they are trying to judge is whether you know how to handle, what did you learn from the failure, how did you handle the failure, what happened after the failure, did you realize something. That is why the focus is not, when you now comes, see, now that you understand, they're not really interested in knowing your failure. Knowing your failure, how does it help the interviews? Do you think they really enjoy, are they sadists to kind of enjoy your failure? No, they are asking this question to check whether, the why of the question is, why are they asking this question? Because they want to check whether you're someone who is a learner, whether you're someone who can take a failure, whether you have been a positive spirit, what did you learn from it, what did you pick from, did you pick yourself up from the failure? That's what they're checking. That's the why. Now that you know the why, you can plan. How you can plan is clear, right? How you want to answer. You need not answer the question, what is your biggest failure so far in life, in a pessimistic manner. I had this. You can rather turn it, the entire beautiful question, into a very positive spin, because you know the why the question is asked. If you understand why the question is asked, you can say, hey, this happened, and this is how it happened, this is what I learned, this is what I changed, this is what I'm doing now. Do you kind of see the difference? So if you only focus on the what of any question and you're trying to answer the what, you're thinking of every question like a yes no. If you're thinking every question like a maths answer, true false. If you're thinking of every question like a, it is not how it is done. Interviews, specifically MBA interviews, are all about understanding the why of the question and then how you frame the answer. So don't focus so much on what, focus on the why, plan the how. Understand the why, plan the how. Right? What is the front face? Front, in the software, most of your software engineers, so we all say, right, front end, back end. Front end, back end, isn't it? People say it is very much like, what question is asked is the front end, guys, the UI that you see. But why is actually the algorithm, the back end? Why is the back end? Now, how you handle it, how you propose the answer is what it is. So you have to understand this, what, why, and how. This is a very powerful technique. Trust me, from now onwards, whenever you see, so that is also one more reason. I think when I was a student also, we had this extreme interest with respect to asking our friends what questions came in your interview, what did the interviewers ask, what is the answer you gave, how did it go, etc. But please understand, that's actually not it's a very shallow technique. Until and unless the friend, that's a great friend of yours, you're sitting and discussing and debating everything that happened, it's a very useful way to kind of analyze, deep dive into an interview. But you're asking shallowly, what are the 10 questions? Hey, these are the questions asked, these are the answers given. That's a very, very bad way to do, because that's very much talking like a board exam, right? An interview is not a board exam. I hope you agree with that, right? It is not an question answer session. So if you understand why the question has come, where the question has come from, then answer becomes very important. So please understand, you failing to answer a question is not a problem, but how you handle these questions, how confident you are about admitting that you don't know at times. At times you should kind of say you don't know things. At the same time, if you whatever answers you know, how you kind of explain the answers, that matters a lot, guys. So not just the question, not just the what, it is the why and the how. I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say, right? So this is important, right? As part of this, what are the do's and what are the don'ts also? Let me kind of bind together. So the do for this is, wherever you do not really have an idea, admit honestly you don't know. At the same time, show willingness to say, hey, if you don't have an exact answer, but you have some kind of thinking, some kind of logic, some kind of algorithm toward the question that they have, you can always say, while I do not know the exact answer, sir, I think I would want to give it a try with this. Can I try? And then do that. They'll love it, as opposed to giving an answer and sticking on to it. Never bluff or provide incorrect information. I'm telling you very clearly. In fact, I have a very, very interesting example. I was participating in IIM Bangalore panel a few years back in Hyderabad. We were sitting in a 5-star hotel in the high-tech city. I think Avasa, Hotel Avasa. I think the name of the hotel was Hotel Avasa. Me and couple of faculty, we were one panel. There were two panels running that day. Very interesting. One of the candidate has come. Very young, energetic, confident fellow, speaking fluently. Everything was good. But this guy did not have the ability to kind of accept failure. This guy did not have the confidence to kind of say sorry, the confidence to say. So he was, if a question is asked, he knows an answer. What he does is, the next question is asked, even if he doesn't know the answer, he doesn't want to give up. He'll kind of answer something. He's basically bluffing the question. And what happened was, as panelists, normally what happens, each of the panelists, the three of us, two faculty and me, we were discussing, each of us are focusing on one area, right? For example, I'm focusing one set of questions, each one of them was focusing on different questions. What happened in this candidate's case was, the moment we realized this candidate is not trying to kind of be honest, and not, this candidate is content but not trying to be truthful, he's faking, it's very clear to us. We all jumped upon it. That is where the stress interviews come in, the pouncing happens. What happened was, all the three of us actually went into asking next level questions, next layer of the same thing. It is like, I call it this kind of stress interview, I call it peeling the onion. If you ever have gone to a kitchen, you peel the onion, you cut the onion, only tears will come out, nothing else will happen. Don't expect, you cannot ever cook onion, peel the onion without getting tears. In interviews, never do this jalebi, never do the peeling. Because when you're bluffing, without knowing, you're actually giving the chance for the panelists to convert the interview into a stress interview. What happens is, these guys convert this interview into a stress interview, they all kind of gang up. And by the way, you know what? You are giving serious answers, you are trying to be confident about yourself, and the interviewers are also trying to ask you very serious questions. It almost makes you feel invincible. You feel that, hey, I'm answering them left, right and center, they're throwing in stuff. What happened on that day was, the moment the candidate actually went away from the interview, I think we all looked at each other's faces and we smiled, and then we took a break, and that became, so please understand, an interviewer asking you loads of questions does not mean you're doing great. That's why I'm saying, always focus on the why, plan the how. If you don't know, be humble, say I don't know. I think I don't have a clear answer, but this is what I know is this. That will work magically, trust me. That is magnet in terms of interviews liking you. Am I clear? Any questions so far? See, I think if you're following what I'm saying, for each of the myth that I'm trying to bring in, I'm kind of trying to explain a concept, explain an anecdote, etc. So far clear? If you like this myth too, second part that I said, can you please type why, what, why and how? This is very important. This is a magical phrase, right? What, why, how. If you understood this what, why, how, you're done. Don't focus on what, focus on the why. Understand why the question is asked, plan how it has to be answered. Trust me, this is a very, very powerful phrase. Thank you, Pratisha. Good job, Pratisha. What, why, how. What, why, how. That's pretty important. That's very, very important, guys. Okay, right. So with this is the second part of the thing that we are discussing. I'm going to now go ahead and bring you the third facet, third myth that people have. Yeah, this is interesting. This is a myth that is very much true only in the last 20, 23, 24, etc. This myth by itself did not exist a couple of years back. This myth is created because I think as technology changes, as a generation changes, there's a new myth. Maybe when I was a student, 18, 17 years back, this myth did not exist so much. But the idea is, using AI tools ensures a perfect VAT or perfect SOP, statement of purpose. In the context of IIM interviews, SOP, some IIMs ask a statement of purpose directly. Some IIMs ask detailed different questions related to different essays, etc. And in fact, in my time, IIM Bangalore, because this was my dream school, my top school that I had calls from, I converted Bangalore. So I have a lot of vivid memories about this school. They even asked the recommendation letter. They asked few people, you have to go to your, if you're working, your bosses, your student, you can go to your teachers, professors, try to even that also is not a typical, people who go abroad after GRE, etc. No, not that kind of recommendation letter. They had a detailed form that needs to be filled in, etc. I was worried about approaching the people and what answers they give and stuff. But the very important thing was, I cannot go and coach them. I cannot go and say, write this, write that. While I would say what I'm trying to do, I want to convert this call, etc., I also have to give them free hand. In fact, I was so lucky. I'm going to share that story a little later also. That is something that I thought you all should know as a student. What was my big experience, big learning? Okay. In my workplace, one of the recommendation letter that actually was written for me made a very, very good impact with respect to my IIM Bangalore interview. I'm going to talk about that in the later part of this webinar. So, but to understand, using an AI tool like ChatGPT, Gemini, all these are very, very useful, but please understand, they cannot ever replace authenticity. In the world of perfection, in the world of AI, in the world of generative AI, what people look for is authenticity, personalization, humanization, etc. You already started having tools which humanize AI output. You understand that? AI creates an output, but because AI's output is going to be identified as a AI output by various softwares, etc., people again try to humanize it. Now, please understand, by the way, I'm not saying don't use AI tools. ChatGPT and the other AI tools are beautiful. Use them properly. There are very beautiful ways to use it. I'm going to give examples as part of this myth only. But do understand, but they cannot be the end all. For example, you can definitely use ChatGPT in terms of framing your answer, in terms of bettering your answer for a question that is given in an IIM form. One very interesting thing that you can do as opposed to, for example, our time, we whenever we had an IIM form, what I used to do is very clearly, the moment an IIM form has come to me, now it is all online. At our time, it used to become in a physical form. I used to take Xerox copies of it. I used to kind of write answers, versions of it, and then again try to kind of improvise it, show it to friends, take feedback, etc. You guys have an advantage. The moment the question that is there, try to frame your own answer. Always never give an AI tool the first right to frame an answer. Never let it frame an answer. In fact, prompt engineering, someone who is an AI expert, I think I'm a good AI expert. Before AI has come in, I was a good Google expert. I tell Google is a very powerful tool, but how you use Google makes all the difference. I call myself a Google expert, AI expert also. See, whenever you want to ask ChatGPT something, if you want to make ChatGPT do something for you, never make it do the first version. Never ever make it do the first version. You have to make your first version, human version of whatever the question is, whatever you want to write, whatever essay you want to write. And then what you can do is you put it in ChatGPT and say, hey, this is the question, this is the answer I gave, this is my story. Can you suggest how I can improve it? Can you suggest how I can convert this story? Because see, ChatGPT cannot create a story. Understand this. ChatGPT can create a movie. ChatGPT cannot create your life, but ChatGPT can help you improve your profile. Understand the difference. So story has to be yours. Incident has to be yours. Authenticity has to be yours. Reality has to be yours. But then once you put in, hey, how do I present this better? What can I do better with respect to this thing? See, you can, in fact, before ChatGPT, it was about experts like me, someone who is this thing. They are someone who kind of try to, I'll answer your question. Just a minute. I think I have a question here. We'll discuss that. But it is very important for you to understand. Once you frame your story, once you frame your incident, once you frame your answer to a question, then you can ask ChatGPT, hey, how can I present this answer better? How can I kind of, is there, it's about, having a proper start, proper ending, that ChatGPT can do, but never, ever take ChatGPT's output as a final output and put it there. You have to always, starting and ending has to be you. ChatGPT can play a huge role in the middleware. ChatGPT can be middleware. It cannot be like, endware, front or back end. Understand this. Yeah, I have a question here. Let me kind of see that. So I should humanize it enough. Yeah, so this is Krishna asking a question. Even if I use ChatGPT as my last resort, should I humanize? Hey, first of all, Krishna, I'm saying there are softwares for humanizing, etc. But I'm saying don't use them. This is a beautiful way to humanize your answers than doing this. Don't do the humanizing artificial way. That's what I'm trying to kind of tell you. The best way to humanize your answers is always have the first version done by you and feed into a kind of, a GPT, put into a generative AI and ask it to improve it. Then what happens is you are able to kind of, again end it with some kind of your own listing. That's what I'm saying. I'm not asking you to kind of, add technology. Don't depend only on technology. Technology has to be a slave. It can't be this thing. Yeah, absolutely. Krishna, you're right. Yeah. So human version has to be first, your answer first, then use AI to kind of improvise it in terms of the language, in terms of how it's being presented, etc. More than language. A lot of people assume generative AI is all about language. No, I don't know if you've heard of a tool called Grammarly. Grammarly existed many years back before the AI has come in, where you kind of your grammar improved, your spellings improved, etc. So language has to be verified. You can check that. That is a very useful tool. But please understand, ChatGPT is all about, it is telling, hey, whether you're presenting your answer in a proper manner, whether you're presenting a story in the present manner. Story is yours, but can I script it better? That's what a ChatGPT can do. Right? And that's why I'm saying, once you give your first answer, human answer, your own story, then try to kind of improve it. And then what you can do again is, we try to in the last again, you don't like the language. In fact, if you ask me, language has to be yours, not the computer's. Computer can, the AI can give a language, but if it's giving a vocabulary that you don't use regularly, why do you have to do it? Right? Don't do that, because it's, think of it, the professors there are people who are in 50s. They have done so much, they have done so many research papers, they understand it. Just because they are trying to be humble doesn't mean they don't know you. So what happens there is, they see your answers and they talk to you, the language you're using versus the language that the profile is showing. If the language is very different, what is the first feel we get? We get zero authenticity. The most important part of any IIM interview, any B school interview, and for that matter, any interview, is authenticity. Being authentic is very important. Even in Big Boss, even some shows like Big Boss, being authentic is important. First step is being authentic, being truthful, not faking, and then comes with the people like you or not. So you try to be artificial, you will be found out very easily. So the first thing is, human first create your answer, use GPT to improve your answer, and again end it with any language. Try to make your language. Don't try to use too much of vocabulary that is not yours. If you are generally using that vocabulary, good. Otherwise, don't say that. Right? That's very, very important. Next, other thing that I want to kind of tell you is, a lot of times, the do's and don'ts. Hence, now that we discussed this myth enough, what I want to tell you is, use the AI for improving, brainstorming, creating how your answer can be present better, how you can improve that. But don't ever submit an AI answer. Don't submit an AI answer without your own, like, start has to be yours, your story, and then let it improve your thing. And finally, the wording has to be yours. So any questions? Have you understood this? This is a very useful part, guys. I want to, always do this. Any questions? Okay, I have a question here from Israel. How to come off as assertive but not aggressive? I'm a loud and extroverted person. People usually mistake that for me being rude or aggressive. Yeah, it is not being no, I think I get your concern, Israel. I would want you to kind of hang on a little while. I have one entire segment of the session today for that. Trust me, you are not alone. There are many of us like that. There are many people like that, and how to kind of come across in a better way, I'll help you. Don't worry about that. Okay, we'll discuss that. I'm just not answering the question here because I have a beautiful entire segment of it later. Yeah, but any other questions connected to this myth, guys? This myth, everyone? Hey, are you enjoying the session so far? Are you liking the session? Are you learning something? Can you please type? I just wanted your own way, your own emoticons, whatever emoticons you have. I want to understand if you're following me, if you're understanding things. It's very important, guys. Yeah. Okay. So if you have understood this, what we will be doing is, I think, let me now move on to the next thing. The next thing that we are going to talk about is, right. So what we will do next is, yes. Okay. Let me move to the myth number 4. Again, I'm telling you, I'll take all your questions even after the myths are done. Once again, I'll have open house towards the end of the session. Let me kind of go to myth number 4. Fourth myth that people have is, many of you, I've seen students across the last 14 years. I've trained hundreds of students. I've helped 500 plus people make it to IIMs and other top B schools. What I found is, they always come to me with the feeling that, sir, this is a question, I'm planning this answer, I'm memorizing this answer and give it. Now that is the worst way to prepare for an interview. Hey, there's a difference between an interview and Viva. How many of you know what is a Viva? In your graduation, you would have done Viva, lab Vivas. How many of you have done Viva? If you have attended some Viva session, can you please type Viva? You have seen the Viva YouTube short, very popular YouTube short film also. Viva, Viva, Viva. Can you all type Viva if you know Viva? What is Viva? Can you all type if you know what is Viva? I'm just looking at your chat. Yeah. Yes. Oral questions asked by board external exams. Absolutely. You're right, Srilekha. Yes, Pratisha says Viva. Yes. So please understand there's a huge difference between Viva and an interview. A Viva, they are basically, it's very much like an exam, but oral exam, right? Whereas an interview is not like that. An interview is not really so much about the what answer you give, but why the answer, why the question, and how the answer. I've already explained that. So please understand, never ever, in fact, standard answers, whether you like it or not, if you prepare so much with ChatGPT, if you prepare so much with one set of coach, etc., what happens is it's very much possible that you're all memorizing an answer, you're all going with the same answer, you're going with that. They will automatically know that you are basically giving a mechanical, mundane, machine answer. And that is the sure shot way to fail. Trust me, you have an authentic answer, humane answer, not a perfect answer, but a human answer. A humane but not perfect answer will win always over a perfect but rote answer, perfect but mechanical answer. That's why, when I do these videos also, after so much experience, after so many Ivy League kind of places that I've been to, even today, I think, for example, my throat is not good today. I'm having a cold. You can sense that very clearly. Some of you call that crackling. I don't know. I think when I do sessions also, when I do videos also, I'm not aiming to be perfect. I don't aim to be perfect even now. I can have. We all make slips. We all can have mistakes. But the thing is, if you have if the answer is authentic, it is far more powerful than having a perfect answer, which is a mechanical one. Understand that? Yeah. Netra says, this is important. Yeah, let's have this. Even if I have rehearsed my answer well enough, how do I not sound like a robot? Yeah, I think I'll see. I want to kind of give you some tips there. I'll do that. That's what I'm going to discuss as part of the myth. Netra, that's a very good question that you asked. But please understand that the reason why we sound rehearsed is not because you have rehearsed the answer. Rehearsing an answer well is not a problem. But when the question is asked, when you present the answer, you should not come out as a mechanical answer. Rehearsed is fine, but mechanical is not okay. I'll give you some example. There are few questions you can rehearse answers for. For example, for sure there are questions like tell me about yourself will come. Tell me about your strengths will come. So the questions that will be asked, you trying to plan an answer, you try to plan stem, platter, plan a story broad is great. Problem is, you have to understand this, Netra. The problem is not rehearsing answers for the stock question. These stock questions, you having an answer and you presenting, no one will take wrongly. Problem is when they ask you a question that they think is very personalized question, and you jump the gun. It's very much like that 100-meter Olympic race. You're trying to be the fastest man on earth. The moment the gun is shot, you want to answer. No, take a pause. Whenever a question is asked, you take that few seconds pause, gives the humanity. You're gurgling the answer. You're actually digesting. You're trying to kind of analyze, understand, and then kind of answer it. I think that's far more powerful as opposed to, hey, you are asking this question. I know I have planned it already and I will just vomit it out. That's not going to work. That will come out very mechanically. That will come out as a rote answer. I hope I've answered your question, Netra. Taking a pause will be very useful. Yes. Will the interviewer start drilling me if he sees me nervous and twitchy? How do I deal with that? Okay. I think I'll see. An interviewer generally does not scare you more if you already are nervous. They'll scare you more if you are trying to be cocky and adamant when you're wrong. See, being confident, being assertive is not a problem. Being aggressive or adamant when you are actually wrong is where they'll get into stress. Not so much when you're nervous. Your nervousness will only give them a bad feeling that this person is not deserving, but they'll not get into stress interview for that. Okay. Now, I think the best way to overcome nervousness is do put yourself in multiple interview situations, multiple mocks. Try to get kind of various questions. And when you go into an interview with the feeling that these are the new set of people I'm trying to meet, I want to make a good impression on them, but I don't care for being perfect, but I also don't care for them liking me. Don't force yourself. That will help you a lot. Don't get into that. Okay. Yeah. So I think this is a very important myth. Like I said, let's now discuss the do's and don'ts for this myth. Practice with variety of questions. Practice with lot of questions. Don't ever try to have some answers and don't memorize or read them. The better way to do it is ask a question, ask your friends, even if you ask ChatGPT to kind of pose a question to you as an interview, and then try to kind of you make your own answer. Don't worry about how good or how perfect it is. Try to fit in, try to improve it, but don't worry about rehearsing it. That's the important thing. Rigid answers will not be helpful. In fact, I think I'll give you this thing, an interesting example. A lot of times what happens is interviewers do not like when one after the other, the moment when a panel is being done, you go to them, you do an interview, the person comes out, others are asking what questions are asked. And they usually interviews have this bias of recency. We all have bias of recency. I was part of the panel. So we start having a line of questioning for that day, that panel. I think that questioning continues through the day. Next set of people also are asked those questions, at least if not exact same line. And what happens is those people who kind of prepare come out, it is very clear they have kind of learned it from the one who has attended the panel just a while ahead, and they kind of take those questions. That's not good. Try to kind of, it's better, yes, it's, you can probably work on the factual data oriented knowledge, but don't have rigid answers for life situations, etc. And don't give same what books you read, what kind of hobbies you have. It is not good. For example, memorizing the things is not enough. I think it's important for you to personalize it. That's very, very important, right? I think I remember very well. I'll give you my own example. Whenever people used to ask me what was my hobby, everyone, when you go into an interview, you cannot say my hobby is watching television, watching this, that. People try to kind of talk about reading books, etc. But that is a very stereotypical answer, very banal and regular answer. At the same time, if it is true for you, speak about that. Because if reading books is something that you really enjoy and you have that, I think you should be able to, you can answer that confidently. If you have the books you have read recently, what did you like about that, who is the author, what do you know about the author, what kind of genre it is. I think having a lot of those details will give you confidence to give that. So don't just mention a hobby like that. What I did when I was at your age, when I was attending IIM interviews, I played chess. I have chess experience. I wanted to kind of do chess as a hobby for my IIM interviews. But what do I do? Because many people might say chess. I said, hey, let me kind of, I play chess anyway. I know broadly what are the openings, and what are the, like, I know moves, etc. But what can I do? I research chess in a thorough manner, so that I have some idea of whatever, if they try to kind of push me, if to try to kind of grill me on this line of questioning, I should be able to kind of withstand it. The goal is not to answer every question they ask. The goal is to tell them that I am authentic. Whatever I have said, I stand by it. Whatever my profile speaks, whatever I tell, I'm able to stand by it. So in my example, I'll give you an interesting example. One of the interviews, what happened was, I think it was FMS Delhi. I think because I said chess is my hobby, they went into discussing various things. They're trying to grill me. And because that day it seems that many people have said chess as a hobby, playing chess as a hobby. So these guys were trying to kind of grill me, and they went into, do you know elo rating? What is elo rating? What is the highest elo rating, and how elo rating is calculated? They basically tried grilling me, and I kind of tried giving answers because I did research, I was thorough, I did plan. But I was not trying to answer every question to prove I'm right. I was only trying to tell them what I know. And actually, they went into the level of asking elo rating. There's something called elo rating in chess. I hope those who play chess, you know. They went into the level of asking what is the algorithm behind it, what is it. I mean, they went there. I said, I really don't have an idea, because the goal was not really to prove them I'm expert, but the goal was to prove that I'm genuine. I have a strong profile. Now that worked beautifully for me, right? After the interview panelist, I think I was last interviewee that day, and they were actually saying, hey, I really like you, you spoke well about chess, and that happened. So I'm saying you need not answer every question. That's very important. Yeah. Yes. Now Ramesh is asking, do my hobbies need to be interesting? Ramesh, that's a very oxymoron question, right? Oxymoronic, what you say. Hobby, the word hobby itself, it says hobby is something that you do for passion. Hobby is something that you do for fun. Your hobby has to be interesting to you. It might not be interesting to the interviewer, doesn't matter. Not every interviewer is interested about everything, right? But hobbies by themselves, the word hobby itself means it is something that you have fun about. That's why you get into it. So it has to be interesting for sure for you, if not for them. Don't worry about your hobby being interesting to the interviewer, but it has to be interesting to you, and you should have fun talking about it. That's very important. Yeah. Okay. I mean, Ramesh, taking stroll in the park, I think that is too superficial an answer that you're trying to give. But if that is your genuine hobby, and you do, how long, how much time you do it? Do you do it daily? Do kind of, and if you kind of say this, I have no problem with that. If I'm the interviewer, I'll definitely ask you how regularly do you do it, how much time to do it, what kind of things you observe, what a lot of things will come in. So I'm okay. You yes, daily gymming too. Yes, go ahead, speak about gymming, not an issue. I'm saying the idea is to kind of say whatever you're talking about, whether it is strolling, gymming, etc. The idea is when they are able to ask a level 2 question, you should be able to answer. They kind of ask, what do you do when you stroll? What do you see? What do you observe in people? What do you observe in things? What have you observed? As you do gymming, what kind of things you do? Lot of things. Is gymming really? Then they will kind of ask your point of view. Is gymming really the right thing to do? Is gymming good to lose weight? Is cardio better? Is lifting weights better? Is resistance better? And then a lot of these things can come in, Ramesh. That's why I said the syllabus for your interview is yourself. You have to understand the syllabus for your interviews, your profile, your life, your story. That's the beauty about interview as an exam, interview as a test, interview as a hurdle is beautiful because you are the expert at the subject. The only exam where the examiner is not so much of an expert as compared to examinee is interview. Interview is about yourself. You know more about yourself than the interviewer, but they're testing you. How beautiful is it? Think of it. That is why I'm saying you have to go in confidently, unlike other exams, right? You handled an exam called CAT, you got percentile, you got selected. 3-4 lakhs people are writing, 3 lakh people are writing, you got in, you're in the few thousands. Be confident about it. Okay? Is that clear? Any questions about this? Can I go to the next myth? Can I just have a high five? Can I just have a understood? Can I just have your emoticon so that I understand you're following me, guys? Yes. Yes. Okay, good. Right. Let's go ahead. Now, let's kind of understand this, right? The myth 5 is, this is very much true, because most of the B schools these days, they ask you to pre-fill forms. They send you some questions. They ask you to pre-fill some forms. And by pre-filling those forms, they will try to kind of ask them. Many people come to me, and I've seen over the years, people come to me. And particularly sometimes it's because people, coaches like me, help you improve your answers. You feel so good about it. You try to change. You want to kind of go with every word, every sentence. I had students who kind of wanted to kind of, even with the whichever smallest interview, smallest form also they want to read, etc. Now that you have chat GPT, you don't need, you need not waste time of mine, right? Or people like mine. But what is very important for you to understand is, if you have to be very, very clear about your SOP, your essay is very important. It is going to give a good impression. It will help you. A good written, well written SOP is actually going to help making your interview become interesting, but it cannot assure you an admit, or it cannot make you successful. So SOP alone is not enough. A good SOP is like having a good story. A good profile will ensure that you have a very good raw material towards making an interview successful. But how you perform in the interview will matter a lot. Your SOP looks great, your performance looks weak, your vocabulary is very different, it's not going to help. I think I've answered this there. But here I think I'm going to explain about my life example of IIM Bangalore recommendation letter in this myth. But before I do that, I have a question here. So I'll take Satvik is asking a question. Sir, do they ask questions about our previous academic subjects? Absolutely, Satvik. Why are you, any doubts? No doubts you should have. They definitely are going to talk to you about your academics for sure. Particularly if you are someone who is a fresher or only very less experience, the chance of they talk about your graduation project, they talk about your graduation subjects, they ask you favorite subject, they're definitely going to do that. If you're someone who has very heavy experience, as in you have 3-4 years of work experience and you probably have good projects under your belt, I think they will try to focus more on that. Their first preference is to talk to you about your real life experience, your projects and domain and clients, etc., domain, industry, etc. If not, they'll definitely ask that. Okay, I have answered that question. Here I want to give you an example about your SOP, a do's and don'ts. I want to give you my own personal example, right? Like I said, you have to have a consistency between what your essay looks like, what your written form looks like, and your verbal answers. The vocabulary you use, the kind of answers you're giving, versus the kind of answers that are written on the form. If they don't match, again, authenticity is failed. They'll not like it. Don't over rely on your SOP to kind of, it should not. See, it's like having I'm just giving a real life funny example. You cannot expect to have a successful dating just because you have a great profile picture, right? You can have a good profile picture you can have a very good profile picture to draw interest, but if you don't, when you go, you cannot get a date, or you cannot be successful on a date just because you have a good profile picture. I hope you're clear, right? Instagram, Reels, or anything like that, you need to have them. It's very much like that. But do understand there has to be some kind of consistency, right? You cannot have a profile picture of one nature and you can be of a different thing. That will not work. Here, I want to give you an example. What worked for me? I think when I was after my graduation, I worked for a couple of years, then wrote CAT. I made it to IIM Bangalore. IIM Bangalore during our time had a very detailed profile form. And then it asked for three different recommendation letters, and recommendation letters by themselves are also very detailed. So what happened was I had two. I had one from my NIT Warangal because I was a graduate from NIT Warangal, and one from my direct boss, my manager. I did not know whom to go for the third, but that created my magic, and I want to explain how it is important. Please look at this. What I want, I don't know whom to ask for the third form. I had two options. I said I'll go back to NIT Warangal, ask another professor, or I'll ask someone else from the workplace. I was working in Tata Motors in Jamshedpur at that time. I said I'll not go back to NIT Warangal because NIT Warangal is a past chapter in my life, current chapter. I worked for 2 years in Tata Motors. I need to have something here. Then I said, hey, whom can I talk to in the company who is not my departmental head, my boss, whom I'm working with is fine. But can I talk to someone in the company who knows me well and not direct work? That's when I've chosen to kind of go to the head of CSR, corporate social responsibility is a big buzzword now, but think of something like almost 20 years back. Now this was a GM cadre, very big person, but I had the opportunity because I was someone who was always passionate about education. Even while my work was happening, I participated in a lot of side projects. I did a lot of works, and I was one of the very well-known faces in the CSR group, CSR. So I went to him. He was a Bengali. I asked him, sir, I need a recommendation letter. I'm kind of doing this. So he laughed and he said, do you think I have time for this? I said, sir, please, sir, I need it. So he said, he liked me. So he said, okay, leave it to me. I'll try. And what happened was, he's someone who acts tough outside. Obviously, he's not a manager. He's at a much bigger position at that time. So this person, but later he had this fatherly love towards me. He used to see me as a kid, but he knows I've done a lot of great projects and stuff. He likes me. But I never knew how much he liked me or something. So I left the form with him. Unlike other two people who are people whom I had direct contact with, I know what they might write, etc. This person I did not know. I took a complete risk, what he will write, what he will say. And the other two people, they were asking me, would you want to look over what you have written, etc. I said, I don't want to. I know what it is. I don't need to. They can. But this person was pretty clear. I said, I'm not going to show you what I've written. I'm going to post it directly. It's not a joke. It's a serious thing. Today, I don't know if it happens in a different way, but it worked beautifully in my favor. On the IIM Bangalore interview day, what happened was, I was trying to explain myself. I was trying to talk about myself. What do I do? What are the other things I did? What do I like about it and stuff? Inadvertently, I think my GM who has written about me, he has written some poem, some poem in Hindi, few lines about me. I wish the one, this thing is because that's there in IIM Bangalore files. I never got a chance to look at it, but what I knew for sure is the interviewers loved this sync between what I was talking that day, how I was projecting myself, and what my GM saw in me. And I think it's not about he told me I'm the best in the world. It's not like he told me I'm the best person ever and stuff, but he spoke about me. If he writes not just a few lines, but he has written a few lines as a poemic, I think that person has actually shown that I love this person. I think my job is half done. The interview is sold. This guy is an authentic guy. I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say. So it's very important for you to kind of SOP, recommendation letters, essays are meant to show consistency. You have to have that tick. That's very important. I hope you understood this myth. Any questions on this? Have you understood? I'm going ahead with the next thing because I think I would spend last half an hour on taking your questions, answering your doubts and stuff. Yeah. Right. Yeah, Israel is still talking about the same question, assertive, aggressive. Hang on, Israel. I think I have 10 minutes to talk about. I've only done 5 or 6. So I'll definitely give you. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Right. Next. The next thing is GK questions. Particularly in business interviews, when people talk, interviews definitely, inadvertently are definitely going on to, because of what you say about investment, trading, marketing, future plans, etc. They're definitely going to ask you some question about anything on economy, anything on business, anything on marketing, etc. Now, people think that if I don't know the answer for this or if I don't know, I'm done. No, the idea is how aware you are about the context around you. For example, if someone is working in a software company and you go into the interview, assuming that I'll only talk about my coding, my project doesn't work. What they're really looking for is ability of the candidate to connect to the real world. For example, if you are from you're coding, but your coding is not important as important as who is your client, what is their problem, what are you solving for them, how is their domain, what is their industry, how your software feeds into that, what kind of work you do. All this matters more. So never take GK questions as just the fact, but the awareness. It is about people love you, people like you, not because you're an expert at something. People love you, people are going to particularly see, understand you all come from different fields. You are trying to get into MBA. MBA is a generalist role. MBA, Master of Business Administration, it's about generalists. It's about someone who is trying to be a business leader. It's about someone who wants to be an all-rounder who wants to do that. So the chances they are basically looking for someone who has an awareness, ability to connect things, real life examples and stuff. So if you're someone who comes across as someone who is very narrow, who is only focused on what they do, they don't have an iota of interest in what's happening around them, I think that is not a positive thing. Understand this. That's not at all a positive thing. So when the questions are asked, it's not about how much you know, but it's about why they're asking those questions. They're asking those GK questions. They're asking those questions about what is your client's industry, what industry your company is in, what is the size of your company, what is the turnover, what are they doing, what kind of domains they are in. They're asking these questions not because they want to know whether you know the answers or not, but they want to check. The why behind the question is, hey, do you generally have awareness around yourself, surroundings, your life? Can you connect? That's what they're testing. If you can show that thing, I think that will work in your favor in beautiful manner. Right? That's very, very important. Right? If like as an example, I'm saying this, right? If there's a climate change question, these questions, a lot of time the questions come very much from your profile. I remember, I think I'll give you an example. And sometimes, it can work both in your favor as well as this thing. I want to give an example of one of my friend, IIM Bangalore friend. His name was Ganesh Natarajan, and this fellow was naughty fellow, this friend of mine. He used to go in an interview, I think in one of the interviews, he said, my name is Ganesh, my friends call me Guns. My nickname is Guns. Now, this by itself is a deal breaker. But this kid was too smart. This friend of mine was too smart. What he did was he wanted to kind of show them that I am someone who is aware of my things, surroundings. So the interviewers pounced upon him saying, hey, you kind of gave me a answer which is very, very informal. Why do you have to give me this detail? Now they started asking, what is the difference between a gun and rifle? What is the difference between this kind of gun, that kind of gun? A lot of things. I think 10 minutes of his interview went into discussion on guns. And the beautiful thing was, this was a trap he himself nicely laid for the interviewers, just like I did for my chess. What happened was, after the 10-minute thing, this fellow was not asked anything. They did not really have them. And this fellow trumped them. He was able to give a lot of interesting. The idea was for him to show. Again, I said, the idea, it's not about projecting your expert at something. It's about projecting that you have prepared. It's about projecting that you have an idea about your surroundings. You have an idea, awareness about your real world. That is what they're expecting from an MBA. So don't go into an MBA with the feeling that I have to be an expert. I want to go to the last line of the code. No. What does your code do? I want to go and talk about, when they ask you, tell me about your BTech project. It's not about, they're asking about your BTech project, the impact that it has, what kind of thing, what kind of domain, what kind of field, as opposed to understanding the last line of this thing. Yeah, please understand this. They want you to be authentic. They want you to have some good knowledge, some kind of well-aware knowledge, but they're not expecting you to be do all and end all of it. Very important. So now the do's and don'ts for this: develop a well-rounded opinion on current events and their applications, what is happening around the world, how it will impact you, what all this kind of stuff. One definite question you will all face is, what do you think will happen after Trump takes over as the American president? What will happen to the world economy? What is happening to stock markets around the world right now? Why are they crashing? What's happening? All these kind of questions will come. So try to kind of research them in your own way. You need not be, don't give very technical answers. Try to kind of understand in your own way and reword it in your own way. That's very important. Don't focus on memorizing data. Focus on understanding the context. That's very, very important, my dear friends. So Israel, I'll come to your thing. Don't worry. I have last half an hour for you. Even if I'll answer every question of yours. Don't worry. Next, myth number 7. The next myth that I'm going to talk about now is about, some of you have this feeling, they kind of talk about, hey, you need to take 20 plus mock interviews to be fully prepared. I want to do more and more and more mocks. That's one feeling that many students kind of say. In fact, my team also, they kind of tell me this too. We generally say, no, as part of the program we generally do 2 mock interviews, and then someone wants more, we might give one or two more, etc. But sometimes there's some kids who try to go to 10 places, 10 different people, take 10 into 2, 20 different mock interviews from different people and stuff. They think that it's helping them. It is not. Remember, it's quality over quantity any day. Quality trumps over quantity any day. This is very much true with not just interviews, but even your exam preparations. I think if you remember in your pre-graduation day, 11th and 12th and stuff, CAT also, some of you have the habit of, I'll do 10 books, I'll do 20 different books and stuff. Please understand, it's not the amount of quantity, but it's about how well you kind of do one book, how well you kind of complete one book. That's very important. Similarly, I think two mock interviews, 4 mock interviews, 5 mock interviews are good enough. In fact, if you ask me, 5 mock interviews with reasonable diversity is very, 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 very important. If you are doing that properly, I think that's more than enough, because you have to show improvement from one mock to the other mock. What is the use of you doing 20 interviews from different people, everyone asking different questions? You are just getting the questions, you are trying to answer them. On one side, your syllabus is increasing, you are saying I'll learn more and more and more, but the problem is you are not really focusing on the actual part. You're focusing more on getting questions. Then ask ChatGPT, will give you 100 interviews equivalent questions. But what is important is you want to focus on your body language, how you're presenting the answers, etc. I think it's better to prepare. It's better to kind of, from interview to interview, you should be able to show the poise, show the improvement, show the confidence. That's far more important than doing more interviews. So don't try to do more quantity of interviews. Focus more on, take the feedback, analyze from every interview and do it. That's very, very important as opposed to doing this. Any questions on this? Quantity of interviews. Any questions on this, guys? Any questions on this? Any questions on this? Quantity of interviews? No. Kiranmai says no. Anyone else? Okay. Kumar also says no. Yeah, I think now that we have broad things, yeah, let me go ahead to the next one. I think now you're coming to the business end of the session. I think in the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to wind up the myths part, and then what we'll do is I'll actually take your questions on interviews and your concerns, your preparation. Then we'll go into even preparation. So I think we'll talk about any preparation ideas and all that we'll discuss. Okay. Yeah, myth 8. Yeah, this is very important. I think Israel, your question has come, so be alert now. That I think I'll probably be able to answer now. Yeah. Only extroverts excel in IIM interviews. This is a big myth a lot of people have. A lot of people have this understanding of, many. First of all, the definition of extrovert introvert is not understood by many of you. Can anyone tell what is an extrovert versus what's an introvert? Can anyone tell me who is an extrovert, who is an introvert? Yes, Israel is here. Yeah, I'll answer your question. Yeah, but firstly, can you tell me what's an extrovert, who is an extrovert, who is an introvert? I think a lot of people have a very wrong understanding of extroversion and introversion as a human phenomenon. They are actually having a different idea, right? Can anyone say what is extroversion and what is introversion? Who is an extrovert? Yeah, those who speak. Pratima says those who speak out, those who confidently speak. Okay, speak more extrovert. Extroverts are people who find it easy to approach others and strike up. Yeah, Israel says yes. Israel better answer than the others. I think the first thing you have to understand is extroverts are people who find it energy. See, extroverts get their energy from outside. Introverts get their energy from inside. That's the simplest answer. Extroverts are people who find social context, social situations energetic. As in, you talking to others, you are put in a situation where you are meeting strangers, where you're meeting new people, where you're talking to people. You gain energy from that. These are people who like meeting new people, partying, etc. Introverts are actually people. What I'm saying is actually true. This is the real definition, Israel. Understand this. Many people mistake it to speaking. Speaking is not the end all. This is actually a very small part. Bigger part is extroverts are people. Lot of people, when you sound confident, when you speak well, very good public speakers. Many people, you think all celebrities who are movie personalities, media personalities are extroverts. No, they are not. Because extroverts are people who generally enjoy social context, who generally kind of striking up new conversations that gives them energy. They find energy that is not taxing them. Introverts are people who find it easy to be in their own world. They they find energy. If they have to go and be in a social context, it is draining for them, that they have to expend energy. They do not find it easy. Similarly, introverts are those people, extroverts are those people, if they have to stay alone, if they have to kind of do that, they find it draining. That's what it actually means. Many people mistake extroversion and introversion to be speaking confidently is extrovert, not speaking confidently is introvert. Very wrong, guys. Many media celebrities, lot of people, not every superstar in the media movie world is an extrovert. In front of the camera, how they are versus in the private situation, how they are, they're very different. So please understand, extroversion and introversion is not really going to make a difference in your interviews. Israel, please understand this very clearly. Israel, you being confident, being assertive is something that introverts also can do. Extroverts are people who generally who are more eager, the eager beavers as I call them. They kind of go ahead and they kind of strike conversation, talk. Nothing wrong. See, if you're an extrovert, try to be consistent. You show extroversion, they'll not feel bad. Your interviews can be extroverts or introverts themselves, right? Your interviews, some of them can be extroverts, some of them can be introverts. You are not there to impress someone. I'm this. Will you like me or not? No, I am this. I'm consistently like this. I do this. I'm good at what I do. That's what is important. They're not really going to judge you whether you're an extrovert or introvert. If someone comes across as someone who is very, very confident, that is still not a negative thing, because sometimes you would be assertive and a little more than assertive. Okay, this person looks a little bit domineering. They are okay as long as it is your persona. But then the thing is, it should not veer into the level. It should not enter the level of falsifying information. It should not be you're not giving crap answers. You're not falsifying things. Confidence or overconfidence is still at times is manageable, Israel. But what is not manageable is cockiness, is not arrogance, is not warranted. Similarly, someone who is diffident, someone who is not very outgoing, someone who is not outspoken, that's okay as long as you are speaking properly. You're speaking, your voice is heard, you have a reasonable. See, the problem is you should not mumble, your voice should be clear enough. People should understand you. That is very important, as opposed to how fluent you are, how fast speaking you are, how great vocabulary you're using. That's very important. I want you to understand the fundamental difference between extroversion, introversion, confidence, assertiveness, aggressiveness, adamance, and everything. That's very, very important, right? And this is a very important myth, so I want you all to kind of note it. Yeah. So yeah, I'll answer Israel. Don't worry, I'll answer each of your questions here, right? So only extroverts excel interviews? Not at all. The lot of introverts actually make people who try to their persona will do well. That's what I want to say. Now coming to Israel's question, he has been I think Israel has been talking about this from the beginning, about confidence and stuff. See, there's a difference between cockiness is not your tone or tenor. Cockiness is how you kind of bluff your answers. That's what I mean by cockiness. Now there's a very, very understood level of difference. See, you don't want to be like Tamil Nadu MLAs. In fact, these days every party, across India do, but it started in Tamil Nadu. Over deference, over reverence to their CM. Right, DMK, NRDMK and stuff. Now they're doing, everyone does that. You don't want to bend your backs to kind of show reverence or show deference to your interviews. At the same time, I think you need to kind of understand the people sitting on the other side of the table are there to judge you, or they are the people with respect to in terms of experience, in terms of what they've done, they've achieved something. I think you need to be able to show that you want to be friendly, but you're not a friend. This is what I generally say now. Your teachers can be your friends. Your interviewers can be friendly, but they can never be your friends. Israel, the best way to kind of handle an interview is you can expect them to be friendly with you, but don't expect them to be friends with you. So don't talk to them as if you're talking to friends. Talk to them as if you're talking to someone who is a friendly teacher. I think that'll work well. Your cockiness will be in control, you'll come across as confidence. I think that is a very important. You cannot do that. As simple as that, right? That's very important. Yeah, any other questions on this? We have two more myths, but I thought, any questions here? Friends? Okay, right. I hope you are enjoying what we are discussing, right? So, like next myth I'm going to focus on now. I think what I'm going to do now is, let me kind of focus on, right? Let me now focus on the ninth myth. The last, I think we're coming to the last couple of myths. You have questions, I'll be happy to answer, right? Every IIM panel, yeah, this is very interesting. Many people, whichever interview calls you have, they think preparation for all IIM interviews or all B school interviews is same. While you're right at a broad level, but it's a very shallow way of looking at your interview preparation. You have to understand you're the same person. You're going to an interview, but you are not going to meet the same person. I think I think at your age, I think I can talk about it. You're dating people. You're the same person, but when you're dating, would you approach the other person, all the people same way? That's not going to work, right? You need to understand, even based on the person you're dating, you need to kind of, the technique you use, the conversations you strike up have to be different. Similarly, every IIM, every B school comes up with their own things. This is where you can probably employ chat GPT, employ Google, understand what their flavors are. You ask people like us, we can help. There are a lot of things that we have, but each of them have their own thing. They prioritize. Some of them have very academic orientation. Some of them have work experience, diversity. A lot of these things are there. So focus on that. So understand you have to present yourself there. I'm not asking you to change your story. I'm asking, identify the right part of your profile that you want to highlight, because every IIM is not same. So if you're good at something, that's not the only thing that will work in every IIM. You have to find the right thing in the right IIM. That's very important. So this is an important thing. Research specific institutions, specific IIMs, what is happening. Why, for example, the one very important question that you have is, they have a different question that they're going to ask. Why do you want to join? What is your preference? Particularly if you are someone who has multiple IIM calls, they'll ask you which all calls you have, which IIM would you prefer, etc. In my time, I had a very interesting IIM Kozhikode experience, because I think when I went into IIM Kozhikode, and IIM Kozhikode is my first or second IIM, and then I think I had overall at my time Blackie, I had except Ahmedabad, I had all calls. So when I said I had all these calls and stuff, they asked me, will you join IIM Bangalore, IIM Kozhikode? Now I have to, I think 5 minutes or so went on in the same thing. You cannot, why are you preferring IIM Kozhikode? Why are you preferring IIM Calcutta? Why are you preferring IIM Bangalore? Why are you preferring so and so? No, you cannot have the same standard answer. The most important thing is research the institute, research the IIM, understand what's happening, talk about that, because that shows your awareness, that shows your drive, that shows your enthusiasm, that shows your energy and passion toward that institution. That's what matters a lot. This is never assume a one size. You can't just. It's not a ready-made thing. You can't just buy a shirt. It has to be tailored, customized. So that's why every interview approach it differently. That's very, very important. Any questions? I hope you have understood here. Any questions here? Clear? Now we're going to go to the last part of the thing, last myth of the day. Then I'll kind of, now after this, I'll open the thing for open house. I'll take questions. I think I'll ask Prithvi to kind of, read out questions also, because what's happening is I'm on a couple of screens. So yeah, right. Now the 10th myth that we have. Now the 10th myth that we have is, guys, what I'm talking about is, a lot of people have the feeling that your academic background decides your interview outcome. This is a very big myth, guys, because you cannot go back and change your 10th score, 12th score, grad scores, etc. Every IIM, like I said, every IIM has a different algorithm towards their admission process. Some of them give different weightage. Some give very high weightage to CAT. Some don't give very high weightage to CAT. Give academic. Yes, some IIMs have very academic background is very important. Some IIMs academic background is not so important. Final admission, final interview outcome does not depend only on academic background. And at the end of the day, now you can't really do anything about it. Like I said, you can't change your story, you can't change your life, but you can change your profile, change the way you move your movie mates. So please understand this. Some IIMs have a very interesting, they have women get extra points for diversity. If you're non engineer, you get value. If you're a lot of these things are there. So you have to try and find what works for you. Your art, sports, a lot of these things. So a lot of times, never ever assume only, hey, am I from IIT, NIT, am I already from a top grad school? Yes, that will help you, but do understand. Sometimes being a boy, being an engineer, being an IT engineer boy also is a problem. Because that's the most, regular, stereotypical profile that IIMs come across. A boy, software engineer, from a computer science engineer, etc. Even from top institution, they might not be. The diversity score is not high. So I'm saying don't read so much into it. Focus more on. So I would say don't never underestimate your profile, because if it's unconventional, if it's unconventional, you have to understand you are rated highly, because you are going to bring variety to the batch. You're going to bring variety to the class, and they kind of value that more. So understand that. That's very, very important, friends. Never ever worry about try to think of how you add value. For example, you come from an unconventional school, you come from unconventional background, you come from a different kind of background as opposed to what other people generally apply for IIMs. Go and say how you add value to the batch, how you add value to the IIM, etc. Don't worry too much about it. It's not actually your weakness, it's your strength. It's not your actually seal, it's your USP. Remember that, understand that. So these are 10 myths. I think last 1.5 hour, I've tried kind of speak to you on various things, and through those lot of examples. So I hope you have enjoyed that. So now what I'll do is I'll open up this session for open house. Any questions from you? And before I do that, I want to end the day, end this presentation, not the webinar, but end this presentation with this small note from me. There is a lot of people. See, remember, your IIM admit, your interview selection is going to be decided not in the actual 20 minutes, 15-minute interview, right? You decide whether your work, your preparation, how you kind of practice will decide whether how you work on your profile will decide. You are picking up the admission already. I'm saying this because now look at what I've put on a slide there, right? Athletes do not pick medals. Athletes actually earn medals. They earn their trophies in the practice. They actually pick them up at the competitions. So if Manu Bakar has won couple of medals in Olympics, she has picked them at the Olympics, but her practice she has earned it. So you have to earn your IIM admit. You have to earn your B school admit in the next couple of months. You will only pick it up. You will only confirm it at the interview. Please understand this. Practice, mock, this matters more than anything else. So this is where I end the presentation part. So I want to kind of let's now open. I now open to questions, my dear friends. I want to discuss questions. So yes, I will take all the questions now. Now it's all about questions, friends. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hemant is asking, what about IIM Bangalore? IIM Bangalore is generally very high on diversity. They kind of give preference to a lot of things. Not only they give important. That's why they have a very. It's one of the most bad among the ABC, among the top schools. IIM Bangalore, as compared to Ahmedabad and Calcutta, has lower weightage to CAT, more weightage to academics from past life, and a lot of things. That's what I would say. IIM Bangalore has a diversity profile oriented as opposed to ANC. ANC are very clearly, they have a lot more weightage for CAT. That also is changing, but generally that's what I would say, Hemant. Yeah. Any mock sessions are available? Harika? Yes, absolutely. I think Prithvi will kind of speak few minutes towards the end of the session about what kind of things we do as a GEPA program. Today's webinar is more about, I want to, every year generally, this time we have done it a little late, but generally we do it after CAT results come, early January we do it. This time, because of other things, we had 10-year celebrations of our institutions, etc. That's why I'm doing it a little late. I have probably couple of weeks or 10 days late towards doing this. It's about giving the insight to people who are going into interviews. But this is what it is. Harika, we do have mock interview sessions available. We have mock interviews planned into the program that you can reach out to my team. Yes. Is there unspoken preference given to engineers? I can't. I think you are actually being, I think you are completely away from the reality. In fact, there's a very unspoken rule. There are some unspoken rules in interviews. I want to share them. The unspoken rule is give preference to women. Unspoken rule is give preference to non-engineers. You know why? Because IIMs are looking for diversity. They want people who come from not so regular background, and they want to have the batch as diverse as possible. This is not a typical MBA is that kind of degree. MBA is that kind of study where they want more and more people to come from different fields so that the classroom can be enriching. So Saikant, the unspoken preference is given to non-engineers, not to engineers. Unspoken preference is given to non-IT engineers, not IT engineers. Many people have this mistake. The reason you see many engineers make it is because they make most of the population. The number of people who attempt CAT, most of them are engineers. The number of people who attempt CAT, most of them are males. The number of people who attempt CAT, most of them are software engineers. That's why you see that, but it's not preference. In fact, if you see anything, percentage of the number of applicants versus percentage of the final selections, there's a huge bias against engineers, against software. Yeah, please understand this. Yeah. Hemant. Yeah, Hemant, is it difficult to enter into IIMs without work experience? I would agree. I would think so. I think world across the MBA as a field has emerged more as a it has been emerged as the practitioner's degree. Only in India, I think, because we do not have great work opportunities after graduation, it is seen as a finishing school, trying to get a job, etc. But slowly that is also changing. Even in India, top schools, top IIMs at least, they would work experience becomes very helpful. It is very difficult not to get with work experience. Hemant, I'll give you a small personal, my a classmate of mine, a joke that I mean a jovial thing I want to say. I think it'll help you. One of my batchmates who was a fresher in IIM Bangalore batch. She was a smart girl. She got into BCG. She's doing great things now. This lady, when she has done IIM Bangalore interview, the professors there in the interview panel said, "Hey, you do great, but you are very green." She's not even a BTech. She's a BSc Physics. She has done her 3-year course. And then they said, "You look great. You are confident. You are perfect fit for IIM. But why don't you do work for a few years and then apply again?" Then you know what is the answer she gave? She was extremely confident. She said, "Hey, if you can give that in writing to me, that you like me, I'm having an offer, standing offer after 2 years, I'll go and work and come." So India is that kind of country. I'm talking about 15, 16 years back. But where, that's why there are a lot of freshers who try to get into IIM straight out of graduation. And that's understood. But having said that, things are changing. Many people are applying who have work experience, that too from top MNCs. So they obviously try to give preference. But yeah, it is not like you cannot at all go as a fresher, but preference is there, yes. Aisha is asking, do the interviews expect through a candidate to agree with everything they say? Does it decrease chance of acceptance? No, I think Aisha, please understand. On the contrary, the goal is the interviewer is not really trying to strike a conversation with you on a debate. They are not interested in making you agree to their part, or they're not interested in kind of what happens is generally this divergence of opinion comes because interviewer thinks about a particular point you said in a different way, and if you are very clear that you are on the right direction, stay strong, you need not budge. But it's also an important thing for you to understand. If they are going in the direction, it means you are going in the wrong track. It's not about agreeing to them, or it's not trying to kind of make them feel goody goody. But ask yourself, hey, am I entering shallow, deep waters? Am I not really, am I being shallow and not really able to swim in this? Ask yourself that. Not so much about agreeing, but ask yourself, if you are getting into those kind of zones, it means you are actually shallow. You're trying to swim in a deep ocean. That's not going to work. Yeah. Pratima is, which IIM is better irrespective of NIRF rankings? I think, see, NIRF rankings, last few years they have come, it's good government rankings, but otherwise also before NIRF also there are a lot of private rankings. I think rankings matter, but what is important for you is at the end of the day, you need to have a personal choice. I'll say you cannot have a ranking, but you'll have a cluster. See, for example, old IIMs, the black key IIMs, within them also ABC. Generally, A, B, C are considered to be like, gold standard of IIMs in India. So that I can tell you, yeah. Right. Aisha Machinder is asking a question. For the question, why MBA? Which adds for the question, why MBA? Yeah. So I think this is where you cannot falsify. You all know we're talking about better money, better prospects, better. Try to explain the same thing in a more logical way, more frame the answer in a better way, but don't change it. If you're not going to MBA spending 20 lakhs plus to go there and then say I want to do pro bono, I want to like you're not in Miss Universe competition, Miss World competition where you give the answer I want to help the world and stuff, feed the world. Yes, definitely it's about your career prospects and stuff, but talk about logically how it will help. For example, in the field, lot of times it's why MBA is asked. Again, you are focused on what is asked. Think why is it asked. The why MBA question is asked because they want to check whether this person has a clear idea of what he or she wants to extract from MBA. Why they are sitting for this interview. Do they know they are spending money? Do they know what the ROI is? Do they know what they want to do? So that's why they're basically asking after MBA what you have planned. Hey, I'm very clear I want to get into product management. I'm very clear I want to get into marketing. I'm very clear I want to get into finance. I think if you have an idea and your profile adds that is what they're looking for, as opposed to looking a very answer which is I'll help the world. No, that's not their expecting. Yes. Right, growing up in the role, I'm working, have an idea. I think, sir, that's what I'm saying, Machanda. See, when you say I want to grow up in the role, etc., that is a very generic answer. The idea is to kind of go specific. Say, if you say growing up in the role, in the industry, in the domain you are in, what role you are in currently, and say if you do not do an MBA, if you want to go to a particular role, particular level, particular designation, particular kind of this thing, how much time would it take? What kind of skill sets are required, and how would MBA help it become faster? That is the right way to present it. Yeah, growing up in a role is a very generic answer. That's an answer a plus two student will give. So you need to come up with a specific answer. But your heart is in the right place. Plan the thing correctly. Yeah. Again, Pratma, you're asking the same question again. I've already answered. IIM A, B, and C are the top IIMs in that order at this point of time. I mean, I'm an IIM Bangalore alumnus, so I would obviously have that bias towards my IIM. But yeah, IIM A, B, C are the top IIMs. Yes. Yes. Questions, guys? I think this is an open house time, so please feel free to ask questions. And so, did you guys learn something in the last 2 hours? I think we've tried discussing many different things. Did it help? Was it useful? Yeah. Yeah. Now you can also ask questions about anything which is not in the. I'm not just asking about these interviews and stuff. Any IIM related, preparation related, process related. I think this is now the open house. Speak up your mind. Ask your questions. I'm here to answer. I'm here to help you. Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Lisha. So I've actually planned a 2.5 hour session. I planned 2 hours for my presentation. I've done that, and the last half an hour is more. I thought, we'll have an open house based on your questions. I think I did answer questions through the session also, but still, you have any questions that was not answered per se? You have some conundrum, you have some anything you have? No. A lot of people are saying no. So Prithvi, if you're there, because I'm not getting too many new questions. Yeah, I'll try to answer a few questions, but I think you should be. We should kind of present what we are doing. Okay. Yes. Stita is asking. Okay, let me kind of see this. Let me see if I can answer. Yeah. We all know that skills over degree is a buzzword. We are listening a lot nowadays. Yeah. What are the questions, Stita? Skills. I mean, I've seen your comment is right. The skills over the degree is a buzzword these days. But what is the question? Yeah. Like, does percentile matters once we get into IIMs? As I'm having, see, I think what you have to understand, Machindra, is if you if you have a low percentile from a category, etc., you go there. Once you go in there, no one is going to ask your percentile in your interviews, in your placements, and in your etc. What matters there is your performance there. Please understand this. The problem will be when you are not performing well, they kind of the interviewer, the job interviewer there feels you're not good enough, then they might ask you. But if you're good, if you're doing it, no one will even care what your percentile is. Yes. Stita is asking, can you predict the future of MBA in the next 5 years? I think with the AI and all these things happening, I think generalist degrees are going to become very exciting, because these people the MBAs have to reinvent, have to come up with something, because it's not about the knowledge roles are going to go away, but not so much about people roles, right? AI can replace knowledge, but AI cannot replace people. So they're in very good hands. If you ask me, MBA kind of degrees actually will become more valuable in the future, because these are the people who will be able to use AI and all these things to do better, as opposed to focusing on one domain. Yeah. Yes, Sanjay is asking, do you need to prepare for every possible topic of the GDPA? See, Sanjay, the better way to do it is, you don't have the syllabus. The better way to think of it is, ask yourself, being aware of first preference has to be you, your background, your life, your story, then around you, the field that you're coming from, current affairs, a little bit about business, etc. This is what you need to keep in mind. There's no end to how much you prepare. So there's no particular syllabus, there's nothing you want to create there. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah. Right. Effect of AI, that's what I'm saying. Sarita, I think I was answering someone else also. I believe MBA jobs, not only MBA, but any field for that matter, jobs which are very, very knowledge oriented, domain oriented only, are at risk when it comes to ChatGPT, because that too, a mediocre level of knowledge level. Deep level of knowledge experts will remain. ChatGPT cannot replace, but people oriented, leadership oriented, management oriented, ChatGPT cannot replace. These people will always be in demand. There are people who need to lead teams, who lead to businesses, who need to plan, who need to vision. That ChatGPT cannot do. So that way, it's going to be useful. Yes, I hope I've answered your question. Yes. Please feel free to ask any question. Yeah. Rohit says, no, I'm happy. Yeah, thank you, Rohit. I think, I hope you all got, you picked up things from today's session. Uh, I think this is more like an introductory session we usually do it after CAT results. And yeah, some of you, I think that a few of you who have joined already in the interview program of Abhyaas IIM Prep, done by me and my team. So those who have more interest, wanting to join the interview and as in the second stage GEPI VAT program, you can join. I think you want details, you want to understand how this is done, what is done, etc. You can always reach out to our team. Our team will, I think we have created a WhatsApp group also. Some of you have joined in the WhatsApp group. Not everyone is there, but I think you can join the WhatsApp group also. And what we will actually do is, I think Prithvi and team, can you leave the phone number on which they can reach out if in case they have questions on our program or what our program offers or how is it done, etc., etc. If they want to join, etc., please leave your details on the chat. Prithvi. Yeah. Alicia is asking, does maintaining a serious demeanor during GDPI make you seem more professional? That's what I'm trying to say, Alicia. The idea is not to be someone whom you're not. If you're generally someone who is very like you try to be professional all the time, formal all the time, you're doing that makes sense. But if you're generally a very informal, happy-go-lucky person, but suddenly in the GDR interview you try to do professional, that's not going to work. Again, I'm saying people are not going to decide whether they should select you or not, rate you based on introvert, extrovert, under content, over content, right? They are going to decide professional, formal, informal. Within there's obviously an acceptable range, right? There's a curve, there's a very clearly bell curve. Too much of extreme, too cocky, not okay, too underconfident, too feeble, not good. But anything in between the range, it's okay. Formal, informal, range wise, okay. Extrovert, introvert, range wise, okay. Content, not so this thing, okay. But as long as you have to be yourself, don't try to be something that you're not. That's what I would say. Yeah. Right. Yes, you will have to be yourself. Yes. Right. So these are the things I wanted to kind of present. So Prithvi and team. So what do we do next? I think you have any? I'm here answering any questions. You have any further questions? Okay. Prajma says Pratisha. Pratisha says no questions. Pratisha says yeah. So I hope you have. Okay, right, because you're all saying no questions, I have a simple task for you. All of you who have kind of attended this session for the last couple of hours, I want you to do one small thing for me. Quickly ask yourself, you spent 2 hours, what are the 2 or 3 things that you picked up from today? Those 2 or 3 things, nuggets of knowledge, nuggets of wisdom, nuggets of ideas. What are the 2, 3 ideas, 2, 3 idea nugget that you will implement, that you liked, that you had this wow feel? Can you please type what did you like today's session? Krishna says not to fake anything. Good. Yes. Can you please keep typing? What are the 2, 3 things, the big takeaways for you from this session? Being authentic. Good. Yeah, most of you. Stitcha, same thing. Krishna is saying the same thing. Yes, being authentic. If you don't know anything, just be honest. Srileka, I think I want to correct you here. If you don't know something, if you don't know a few things, be honest. If you don't know anything, don't go into interview. You need to prepare. You can't go into the interviews without knowing anything. But yeah, if you don't know, I think I'm just kind of pulling a leg. But yeah, if you don't know something, if you have that, you're right. Being honest is very good. Yeah, but do prepare a lot because these are lifetime opportunities. Give your best. Yes, humanized content. Yeah, humanized. At the end of the day, anything that is authentic, yourself, human is more important. Not to sound robotic. Good. Harika, Shivani, good. Anything else? Anything else, guys? Let me see if I can take few names. I'm just opening up list of names and say there. What did you kind of pick up? Is Machinder here? I'm just trying to find Machinder, Satvik, Yogesh, Pratisha. What did you pick up from today's session? What are the things you picked up? Okay. So Prithvi, do you want to take over and speak about the thing? I'll mute myself. And yeah, please